To be delivered from that lifestyle, they want to preach against him and want to tell them how filthy, dirty, nasty person they are, when the person that's standing there telling them that is probably filthier behind the closed doors of their home than they ever thought that home session was. It's about time that we learn that instead of standing against the sinners, we walk to them with love. Amen. Now, it's not about compromising our standards. It's not about giving up on preaching against sin. It's about confronting them with the love of Christ instead of thumping them over the head with the Bible. Because you see, they know they need to change. It's not the fact that they don't realize that they need to change. It's the fact that they realize they need to change, but nobody's ever been a true enough Christian to them for them to want to change. Until this world sees truth, which the world knows what it is, there will be no conversion. There will be no great revival across this land. Until people start acting like Christ, there will be no revival. You want revival? You give people love. You want to see God move? You act like Christ.
Amen.
We wonder why people leave the church and why churches are growing smaller and smaller. It's the lack of Christ and it's the lack of the reality of the gospel. College students at North Ark, they sin, they go out and drink, they go out and have sex, they go out and do drugs, they go out and smoke weed, they go out and do all kinds of unspeakable acts of sinful lifestyles. And the deal is, everybody, when they come to church on Sunday morning, you know why you don't see 2,000 of those college students, every single one of them at some church in this area on a Sunday morning, or even 10 of them on a church on Sunday morning? You know why you don't see them there? Because they know that when they come through the door of that church and sit on that pew, the first thing that people are going to think in their mind about them is, hey, I know what kind of person that is. I know where they were at last night. Because that's what they think. You know why that's what they think? Because that's all they've ever seen. Because it's the truth. And it happens. Every church, every Sunday, somewhere across the United States of America. That happens to somebody. It's happened at every church somewhere. I'm not too naive to believe that it hasn't happened in my church. I gave you a case of it happening. It's happened everywhere. Because we're too jealous. And we're too selfish to share what God's given us. God didn't call you to be selfish. Jesus Christ himself is selflessness. People say, oh, well, they don't want anything to do with God. That's why they're out there doing all those, things. That's why they're out there committing all these sinful acts, that they don't want anything to do with God. No. If they didn't want God, they wouldn't be seeking after something. If they didn't want God, they wouldn't be filling their desires and their lust and their wants with everything else. I've been there in their shoes. And I know what it's like to try and fulfill your lustful desires, no matter what it is, whether it's alcohol, pornography, drugs, whatever it may be. And try to fulfill that empty void with something, such as the thing that the world offers. But they know it doesn't satisfy, but they keep going to it. You know why? Because nobody has ever taken the stand to offer them anything. So, how do we solve this problem of being afraid of the lost? Simple. Change. Oh, it's easier said than done, Brother Dustin. Not if you're a Christian. You want another word? A little bit harsher, a little bit bolder, of how to fix this problem? Listen to your daddy and obey. Because I have a feeling he's going to take a belt after a lot of things when we get up there. What happens when you don't obey your father? I know there are a lot of people in here that grew up. Whenever I didn't obey my dad growing up as a young kid, if I backsassed, if I didn't do what I was told, guess what? I got a whoop. I got the hide torn plumb off. Whether it's a switch from a peach tree or a leather belt or a leather strap, grandpa, grandma, it didn't matter who it was. When the person that was an authority over me, that had control of my life at that point in time, and they told me to do something and I didn't obey, guess what? I was reprimanded and I was reproved for it. And that's the same thing that God's going to do to us when we stand before Him on judgment. You want to see things happen in this world. You want to see sinners come to Christ. You want to see revival across the city of Harrison, Arkansas. And you want to see your entire world and everybody you come into contact, their world turned upside down for God. Then obey and tell them about the only way they can ever receive glory. If they don't accept, guess what? Keep trying to tell them. Pray for them. Because the only way you're ever going to change this land is through prayer and love and the gospel. I'm going to play an audio because I can't show the video. And after I play this audio, I have one more statement. And I'll be finished.
Feeling like a better person, feeling a little bit of joy, feeling a little bit of love. Instead, he left there downtrodden. Instead, he left there crushed because of the judgmental looks and attitudes that came his way that day. He said, you know what, man, I think they smelled the alcohol on me. And I don't think they like that. He told me that no matter what happens to him in this life, no matter where he goes or what he does, he will never go and sit on a church pew again. Because you know what? He felt more loved, he felt more accepted, and he felt more joy on a bar stool than he did in a church pew. You see, a lot of people who sit in these church pews haven't taken the time to open up the Bible that they beat over top of other people's heads. Because if they did open up that Bible, they would see a Jesus Christ that lived completely different than they do now. They would see a Jesus Christ who came into this world and hung out with drunkards, who hung out with prostitutes, who hung out with tax collectors. They would see a Jesus Christ who said, I come not to save the self-righteous, those who think they have it figured out, those religious people who sit on their high horse and act like they are better than everyone else. No, I came to save those who are in need of a physician. I came to save sinners because I love sinners. We are supposed to mirror Jesus Christ as followers of him. And in doing so, we are supposed to show love to the rest of the world. Jesus Christ said, they will know you by your love. He didn't say they'll know you by your judgmental looks, by your judgmental attitudes, by this thought process that you are enlightened and they aren't. They will not know you by your hatred. They will not know you by your condescending looks towards them or the Bible beating over their heads. He never said any of that stuff. He said they will know you by your love. Where's the love? You see, our generation can be different. Our generation can set a new standard. Our generation can say that whether we sit in a church pew or whether we sit on a bar stool, we're going to treat each other with love and respect. We don't have to make the same mistakes that those people who came before us made. No, we do not. We can show each other love. Because at the end of the day, we are all in need of love. The love of Jesus Christ came here and died for sinners. And you know where the sinners are at? Sinners are on the bar stool. Sinners are on the church pew. We are all sinners. We are all in need of the love of Jesus Christ. There has to come a time when we stop seeing each other by the places that we sit, when we start seeing each other for the people we are. After all, we're just people. People in need of love.
So the last thing I would like to look here tonight is that the reason I share the gospel with you and the reason that it's so important is not only the command that Christ gave with his last word on this earth would go. It's because of the love that God showed me. How could I keep that to myself? So the last question I have for you tonight in this church is this a house of God or a den of thieves? And do you near Jesus Christ? Or when sinners see you, do you reflect the devil?